Hello and welcome back to Cold Blood Files. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the darkest, most disturbing true stories we uncover each week. Imagine this: in a quiet Australian town, there's an elderly man, white-haired, soft-spoken, slowly making his way down the sidewalk. He once worked in schools, smiled warmly at children, and was trusted by everyone around him. But then, a horrific case from 1970, the murder of two innocent young girls, is unexpectedly reopened nearly 3 decades later. Clues once thought to be dead ends start pointing in one disturbing direction, toward a man no one suspected. This case doesn't just shake public trust in the justice system, it forces us all to ask, how many predators live among us, completely undetected? Arthur Stanley Brown was born in 1912 in Queensland, Australia. To his neighbors and community, he appeared to be nothing more than a quiet, elderly man, mild-mannered and even a bit shy. A retired electrician living a seemingly uneventful life, there was nothing about him that raised any red flags. In fact, many considered him trustworthy. Even in his later years, he would visit schools occasionally for maintenance work, as he had once been a public works technician servicing elementary schools. This job gave him access to young students, yet no one saw it as suspicious. Children found him approachable, adults saw him as respectable. It was the perfect disguise. From a criminal psychology perspective, the most dangerous individuals are often the ones who go unnoticed. Intelligent predators know how to blend in, living within social norms, obeying the law, appearing kind and helpful. This gives them more time, more freedom, and more opportunity to commit their crimes without raising suspicion. For years, no one in the small town of Townsville gave much thought to the quiet old man with silver hair. But that's what makes it all the more disturbing. Because it's possible that this very trust and inattention helped conceal one of the darkest cases in Australia's history for nearly 3 decades. On the morning of August 26, 1970, in the town of Townsville, 2 young sisters, Judith, 7, and Susan McKay, 5, left home for school, just like any other day. The walk was short and familiar. But this time, they never came back. Police were alerted by evening. The entire town mobilized in a frantic search, scouring neighborhoods and nearby bushland. 2 days later, their bodies were found in a dry creek bed nearly 25 kilometers away. Bruised faces, disheveled clothing, and clear signs of violence told a horrifying story. Words can barely capture the cruelty of the crime. The remote disposal site pointed to a calculated mind, possibly someone who had either done this before or meticulously planned it out. This wasn't random, it was methodical. The scene offered little evidence. There were no clear witnesses. Some residents remembered seeing a suspicious green car with mismatched doors circling the area, but no one could confirm details. The killer had covered their tracks well. The investigation quickly ran cold. With no DNA, no CCTV, and no viable leads, justice slipped through the community's fingers. The McKay family was left shattered. And slowly, the town began accepting a terrible truth: the perpetrator might never be caught. Crimes against children tear through the soul of a community. What made this case even more chilling was how it happened, in broad daylight, in a seemingly safe place. And the person responsible? Still out there, living life like nothing happened. Nearly 3 decades had passed. The case of the McKay sisters slowly faded from public memory. Society evolved, Technology advanced, but the loss endured by the family remained, a wound that time never healed. Then, in the mid-1990s, a shocking turn emerged, not from police work, but from within Arthur Stanley Brown's extended family. A woman, a relative of Brown's wife, stepped forward with a disturbing allegation. She claimed Brown had sexually abused her as a child. Her account was vivid, detailing specific locations, behaviors, and emotional trauma. But what startled investigators most was how eerily her story matched the details of the 1970 McKay case. In criminal psychology, sexual predators rarely act only once. These behaviors often follow patterns, escalating in violence and sophistication. When a survivor's memories resurface, they can be the missing key to a long cold case. With that statement, police reopened the files. And they uncovered something chilling. Brown bore an uncanny resemblance to the composite sketch created in 1970 based on witness reports. Same height, build, gait, and even the detail of an old car with mismatched doors. A surviving witness from 1970, now an adult, was shown a photograph of a younger Brown. Their reaction was immediate: that's him. Police records revealed Brown had access to the area at the time of the girl's disappearance. He was working for the Department of Public Works, servicing schools in the vicinity. He often wandered through local elementary campuses, allegedly to check on wiring. His presence never raised alarms. After all, he wore the uniform. He had a badge. Society's trust in authority can be dangerous. A uniform, a government title, these become perfect camouflage for predators. Brown wasn't just manipulating systems. He was manipulating belief, the idea that someone familiar can't possibly be capable of evil. In 1998, Arthur Stanley Brown, then 86 years old, was arrested. The nation was stunned. An old, frail man with silver hair, now accused of the brutal murder of two little girls nearly 3 decades prior. But that was just the beginning of a legal saga filled with frustration, loopholes, and an ending that would leave many asking, was justice ever truly served? When Arthur Stanley Brown was arrested in 1998, the media exploded. Public opinion was divided. Some couldn't believe that a frail elderly man could commit such brutal crimes. Others were outraged that justice had been delayed for so long. The first trial began in 2000. Prosecutors presented witness identifications, circumstantial evidence, and accusations of past abuse. But Brown, now 88, was in poor health and mentally deteriorating. His defense argued he was no longer fit to stand trial, a legal requirement in Australia. Sometimes, justice doesn't fail because of a lack of evidence, but because of legal constraints. When memories fade, witnesses die, and suspects age, the system must choose between ethics and law. The jury couldn't reach a verdict, resulting in a hung jury. A second trial was scheduled. However, in 2001, psychiatrists declared Brown unfit to proceed. Diagnosed with severe dementia, he could no longer understand the charges or participate meaningfully in court. The prosecution was halted indefinitely. So the man suspected of killing 2 little girls was never convicted. Brown died in a nursing home in 2002, taking his secrets with him. The haunting question remains: if he was guilty, how many more victims might there have been? And if he was innocent, did we destroy an old man's life with suspicion and no proof? Though never officially convicted, many believe Brown was the killer. A public poll showed over 80% of Australians believed in his guilt. But belief alone can never replace a lawful verdict. Although Arthur Stanley Brown was never convicted, in the eyes of many Australians, he became a symbol of the most chilling kind of evil, a predator hiding behind a friendly face. An ordinary-looking man, respected in his community, who was suspected of killing 2 little girls, and possibly being a long-time abuser operating in silence. What unsettles people most isn't just the crime, but the delay, the silence, and how he survived the justice system. Judith and Susan McKay's family never received full closure. No confession. No conviction. No official apology. They were left to live with a kind of grief that the legal system refused to fully acknowledge. The Brown case exposed multiple weaknesses. Extreme delays that weakened evidence and allowed suspects to avoid trial due to old age. Lack of clear legal guidelines on trying elderly individuals accused of serious crimes. Inadequate systems for tracking and responding to child abuse allegations over time. Can a justice system that prides itself on compassion unintentionally protect the guilty and fail the innocent? The case triggered a national shift in awareness about child safety. Schools, churches, and public institutions reviewed their protection policies. Campaigns against child abuse surged after 2000, and everyday people became more cautious, even suspicious, of familiar faces. No one said it aloud, but there was a quiet, unsettling realization: the villain might not be hiding in the shadows, but sitting next to you, smiling. To this day, there is no DNA evidence confirming Brown's guilt. Police have never named another suspect. Though legally closed, the case remains wide open in public memory. The Arthur Stanley Brown case is not just the tragedy of 2 young lives lost, it's a reminder of what happens when trust is blind, time is wasted, and justice runs out of breath. The Arthur Stanley Brown case is more than a family tragedy. It exposes how trust can be manipulated, and how justice, when delayed, can lose its meaning. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our legal systems and social structures. Society once believed that the elderly were harmless, that familiar faces were safe. But this case showed that evil can wear a warm smile and work in respected positions. Many child abuse cases only surface when it's far too late. This demands not just parental vigilance but a collective awareness from society to rethink what safety really means for children. The case is a wake-up call for the justice system. Justice has an expiration date. When cases drag on for decades, suspects may never face trial, and victims are robbed of a voice. This highlights the urgent need for reforms, laws that account for aging defendants, historical abuse claims, and long-delayed witness testimony. The real ethical question is, did we stay silent for too long? Did our respect for elders, authority figures, and social appearances blind us to obvious red flags? A moral society doesn't just feel sorry after tragedy, it has the courage to speak up, challenge norms, and act before the damage is done. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this video. This wasn't just about an old case, it was about what kind of society we want to be, one that learns from silence, from failure, and from pain. If this video made you reflect, please like, subscribe, and share, because these conversations matter. Because children deserve a world that sees danger clearly, even when it's wrapped in trust. We can't change the past, but we can protect the future, starting with awareness, today.